Hello and welcome. This is the news on NTA International, reaching you live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. You can watch this news on Vision TV 24/7 and all the social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Justin Bemuyan. Courage Ogeriahe is the sign language interpreter. First, let's look at the headlines. Court dismisses money laundering allegations filed against former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke, by the EFCC. Economic Community of West African States releases $25 million to fund humanitarian activities in the sub-region. And Nigeria steps up surveillance, installs technology that will prevent unwanted persons from gaining access into the country. Well, thank you so much for joining us. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has discharged and acquitted former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Mohammed Adoke, SAN, of the money laundering counts brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The presiding judge, Justice Iyang Eko, while delivering a ruling on a no-case submission filed by Adoke, held that the EFCC failed to establish sufficient evidence against him. The court also ruled that Aliyu Abubakar, the second defendant, has to open his defense because he has a case to answer. In the 14 counts charge filed by EFCC against them, Adoke was accused of receiving the dollar equivalent of 300 million naira from Aliyu Abubakar.
Federal High Court 5. So we thank God.
The judge has adjourned until April 22 for Abubakar to open his defense. Meanwhile, a dispute over who is the authentic National President Association of Local Government, ALGON, has been settled by the Federal High Court, Abuja, as the court declined jurisdiction to entertain the matter. This was in a suit filed by one Abdullahi Abubakar, a factional president of ALGON, and one Shuaib Ohinoi Shaban, against another factional president of the association, David Akolade Alabi. The court in its judgment affirmed Alabi as the ALGON's duly recognized president, jettisoning...
Again, we are happy, we are delighted that the rule of law has been upheld.
The court in its judgment affirmed Alabi as the ALGON's duly recognized president, jettisoning claims that he heads a local council development area in Lagos, but LCDAs are not recognized by the 1999 Constitution. The court also held that the plaintiffs failed to obtain leave of ALGON trustees before commencing the suit, as required by the law. The federal government says the proposed review in the justice sector will equally take cognizance of the act that criminalized the commission of suicide. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, stated this in Abuja while receiving a group of advocates on decriminalization of attempted suicide in Abuja. Dele Atumbi reports.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, explained that right to life as a blue right is sacrosanct and takes the center stage in the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Fagbemi, SAN, maintained that the fundamental rights of the people, as enshrined in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, are non-derogable rights. The Chief Law Officer of the nation promised that in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health, the act criminalizing attempted suicide due to mental issues will be looked into. Fagbemi, SAN, equally said that the implementation of the Mental Health Act 2021 will be given the priority it deserves.
The issue of health occupies a key position in the minds of this administration, and for you to have singled out two means a lot to us. We want to partner with those who have things to offer, and you certainly have very cogent contributions to make. The first, the issue of decriminalization of suicide. First I want to say that even apart from attempted suicide, it is an ameliorating factor to say that a man who was alleged to have committed an offense was not in a good state of health.
The advocates for the decriminalization of attempted suicide based on mental health issues had earlier pleaded with the federal government to give premium to treatment of mental health issues.
As seeking the intervention of your good office to weigh in, for this advocacy that we have brought today, such that, again, statistics indicate that we have at least maybe 1 in every 4 persons would deal with one mental health disorder or another.
Over the world, the medical evidence shows now that 80 to 90% of those who will attempt suicide, there is background mental illness, especially depression. It is because of a sense of hopelessness that makes them get to the edge where they think they are better off dying.
It is the belief of the advocates that the implementation of Mental Health Act 2021 will go a long way in stemming the tide of mental health issues in Nigeria. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Now, Global Affairs Canada has provided $7.3 million in funding to the Africa Fertilizer Financing Mechanism, AFFM, to enhance sustainable agricultural productivity and smallholder farmer livelihoods, particularly women and youth across Africa. The financing will aid the mechanism in replicating its credit guarantee programs, enabling fertilizer importers and aggregators to access the product on credit. It will also boost efforts to improve soil health and provide technical assistance to farmers. Signed on 25th March 2024, the funding agreement between the earmarks 10 million Canadian dollars specifically to the mechanisms fostering Africa's agricultural productivity through fertilizer value chain financing foster program administered by the African Development Bank Group. The mechanism provides innovative financing to accelerate fertilizer use in Africa and improve agricultural productivity across the bank's regional member countries. Fertilizer is essential for food production, yet it is significantly underutilized in sub-Saharan Africa's agriculture sector due to limited financing and technical know-how among farmers. The foster program targets 800,000 smallholder farmers, with 40% of beneficiaries expected to be women and 10% youth. It aims to provide access to and improve the utilization of 80,000 tons of organic and inorganic fertilizer, which is expected to increase yields by 30%. Canada's Minister of International Development, Ahmed Hussein, said Canada is proud to support resilient, climate-smart agriculture and adaptable food production systems in Africa. He said, "We remain committed to promoting inclusive green growth in partnership with the African Development Bank, including through our contribution to the Africa Fertilizer Financing Mechanism." Under the foster program, the mechanism will extend credit guarantee facilities to the input supply chain in 8 African countries. The program will also facilitate the formulation of fertilizer policies and regulatory frameworks to foster gender-sensitive and sustainable soil management practices. Now, the Africa Development Bank and the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA, has officially launched a 3-year support project to combat money laundering and terrorism financing in their member countries. The project, titled Capacity Development for Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism in GIABA member states in transition, will be backed by a $5 million grant from the African Development Bank Group. The launch ceremony held in Dakar, Senegal, was attended by staff from the 2 institutions, representatives of beneficiary countries, which are GIABA member countries, and Senegal's Financial Intelligence Unit. Mohamed Sharif, African Development Bank Country Manager for Senegal, and Edwin Harris, Jr., GIABA Director General, represented their institutions. The project will be financed through a grant from the Transition Support Facility of the African Development Bank to the tune of $3.5 million. Now, Director General, Voice of Nigeria, Jibrin Baba Ndache, is rallying support amongst African countries and advancing the cause of projecting positive narratives about the continent and its people. Chukwunonso Wabeze reports that the DG of VON took this advocacy to the embassies of Uganda, Angola, and Tanzania in Abuja.
The Director General Voice of Nigeria, Jibrin Baba Ndache, is at the Ugandan High Commission in Abuja in furtherance of his agency's drive to drum up the needed support and collaboration in projecting factual narratives about Nigeria, Africa, and its citizens to the global community.
Voice of Nigeria is a platform that can be used to sell these destinations. Let the world know, let us Africans know what we have in Africa, so that we can leverage on it and travel within all those African countries and travel among ourselves.
Ugandan High Commissioner to Nigeria Nelson Ochega, while keying into the initiative, said Africa is the future of the world and the time has come for the continent to galvanize conversations on telling her own story from the true African perspective.
I am happy that you have come to share these ideas with us, and we are willing to work with you so that we can change the narrative for Africa, about Africa, so that we can be able to popularize what we are doing as governments.
The same message of enhanced collaboration amongst African countries was also taken to the Embassy of the Republic of Angola, where the Ambassador Jose Bamokina Zhao initiated an MOU that will facilitate a formidable partnership between Voice of Nigeria and Radio Nacional of Angola.
Partner with your external broadcast so that we can, both countries, work together in telling our stories, so that we are respected within the community of the nations.
We accept this challenge and we accept to work with the Voice of Nigeria.
Similarly, Jibrin Baba Ndache earlier paid a visit to the Tanzanian embassy in Abuja as the chargé d'affaires of the embassy pledged to strengthen the already existing cooperation between Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation and Voice of Nigeria in the areas of staff training and capacity building. Chukwunonso Wabeze, NTA News.
Our Chinese government says it will continue to improve and deepen cultural cooperation with Nigeria. The director of China Cultural Center in Nigeria, Li Zuda, stated this at the Laundering collection of Chinese calligraphy culture held in Abuja to showcase China's rich cultural heritage. Again, Chukwunonso Wabeze reports.
The art of Chinese calligraphy has a long history dating back to thousands of years of Chinese civilization. With the theme, Laundering Collection, narrates China-Nigeria friendship through calligraphy. The director of China Cultural Center in Nigeria, Li Shuka, said the exhibition not only aims at promoting the art of Chinese calligraphy, but also to serve as a medium of strengthening China-Nigeria bilateral relations.
Today, we gather here to experience splendid Chinese culture, appreciate the beauty of calligraphy and painting. We come here to promote the mutual understanding and strengthen the traditional friendship between our two countries' people.
Nigeria-China bilateral cooperation has been a win-win affair that promotes cultural exchange and expertise.
Any civilization that you find that has its own form of writing is honestly a civilization that becomes completely independent.
With their writing brushes, ink sticks, papers and ink slabs, art enthusiasts, students, contributors and others who participated in the calligraphy exhibition shared their experiences.
It was a great learning, and I also think it's nice that they're introducing things like this to Nigerians as well, because it's not part of our typical tradition to maintain writing Nigerian. You know, it's such an ancient culture. You can only find it with the Arabs and other similar. So I think this was nice, historical.
In order to learn Chinese, you also have to know how to read Chinese. And if you want to learn, you have to learn the characters, because most of the time when we buy products that Chinese products, they don't usually write it in the pinyin. Those are the Chinese alphabets. They write it in the characters. These characters we see here. So this will help you know what you're, reading.
Chinese calligraphy and traditional paintings have over the years attracted widespread attention and participation, and this event is not different, as outstanding students, contributors, as well as teachers were rewarded for their remarkable artworks and creativity. Chukunonsonwa Boise, NTA News.
We'll take a break here. The news continues in a moment. To stay with us. Now, ECOWAS will spend about $25 million this year on humanitarian activities in the sub-region. Out of this amount, $9 million has already been released to address issues of IDPs, refugees and asylum seekers in member states. ECOWAS Commissioner for Human Development and Social Affairs, Professor Sosar, at a press briefing in Abuja, said ECOWAS is also planning a regional youth forum this year to enhance the capacity of youths in the region. Calvin Ebonwaye reports.
Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger account for much of the IDPs and refugees in the region, with their economic consequences in the affected areas. Flood and other forms of disaster have compounded the issue, leading to huge humanitarian crisis. In response to this crisis, ECOWAS will spend $25 million in the sector this year, but also prioritizing prevention through a disaster reduction strategy and tools to monitor displaced populations to anticipate problems and better manage crisis situations.
9 million is for internally displaced persons, refugees, and asylum seekers and the host communities. So you see that most people in that group are young people and women. As I had said, it is to enable the resolution of this problem within our region.
On youth development, a major component of human capital development, ECOWAS is planning a youth conference to discuss issues of education, ICT, capacity building for youths, and evaluate the various scholarship schemes for them in the region. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonwaye, NTA News.
Nigeria now has the technology to prevent unwanted persons from gaining access into the country through the international airports. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, while test running EGates installed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, says the facility is 99% completed and will be deployed for operations from next week. Victor Azu reports.
The last time the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, was here, work was below 50% completion. Now the EGates at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, are ready to be deployed for operations. The Minister is optimistic that the technology will eliminate unnecessary human interface, reduce bureaucracy, and make movements in and out of the country seamless.
As far as Abuja is concerned, we are on 99.9%, and I think by Wednesday, Abuja will be 100% good. Obviously, I think by Monday, from what I've been told, Monday, Tuesday, work will start in Lagos. It's impossible for you to use another person's passport or an expired passport to enter into Nigeria with this solution.
At the Command and Control Center domiciled at the Nigeria Immigration Service, work is also near completion, a situation that inspires the Comptroller General's confidence about interagency collaboration and its potency for national development.
It helps us monitor the border better. It gives us that upper edge in terms of knowing what is happening on real time. So that alone has put us way on top of what we're doing.
The EGates, also enabled to foil identity theft, will be replicated in other international airports across the country. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
Now, public health experts have resolved to give more attention to prevention than reaction to health emergencies in Africa. Now, this is part of the outcome of the week-long training for public health emergency experts in West Africa held in Abuja. And David Ire was there and now reports.
Health and emergency response experts from across the world made various presentations at this program with contemporary focus on prevention and control of pandemic and epidemic challenges. Having compared notes across West African countries, participants agreed that indeed Nigeria and other countries have made significant progress.
Educate the people, because everybody has a stake in the prevention of emergencies. And once that is done, then we can as well say we are preventing emergencies and disasters. I believe that we will go back to the drawing board and look at it, how we can profile stakeholders and look at what we can bring to the table and collaborate. So these agencies will now be collaborating rather than be competing among themselves to fulfill their mandate.
Essentially, we really hope to build research capacity for the country, and also that they are able to scale down the knowledge that they've gained to other country members, so that we have that pool of responders for any emergencies that occur.
Review and evaluation of the outcome is expected to take place before the end of the year by the Public Health Emergency Preparedness, Response and Recovery, Georgetown Global Health Nigeria, and other participants. In Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
The Nigerian government and that of the Republic of Cameroon have agreed to strengthen the framework on transboundary ecosystems, conservation and sustainable management of forestry and wildlife resources. The agreement was signed in Abuja by the Nigerian Minister of Environment and that of Cameroon's Forestry and Wildlife. Charles Alpha reports.
Nigeria and Cameroon's common borders span over 1,500 kilometers. They share common vision on the best approach towards the protection, conservation and sustainable utilization of natural resources that nature has endowed the two countries with. However, climate change and environmental challenges continue to immerse these resources. About 1 million species are threatened with extinction, and many within decades. This agreement between the two countries symbolizes a milestone and provides a platform for the establishment of a joint transboundary management framework, which will facilitate cooperation and coordination between the countries on matters relating to the conservation and sustainable use of their natural resources, which are critical to the both nations' ecosystem services.
The over-exploitation of forestry resources and poaching, especially cross-border poaching, are serious threats to the sustainable management of our natural resources.
Signing this agreement today is just the beginning, because agreements are supposed to be implemented. So after signing this agreement, we are going to follow up with a number of actions.
The people of Germany remain committed in supporting biodiversity conservation.
Nigeria and Cameroon have had a long history of cooperation bordering on general friendship, transboundary security, as well as Joint Commission on Transboundary Conservation since 1963. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Up next, a sports update. Now let's have a look at weather prospect for Saturday in Nigeria and other cities of the world. And that's the news. To enjoy the rest of the evening. My name is Justin Bemuyen. Courage Ogere has been the sign language interpreter. Bye for now.